After my last episode talking about why I thought big investors should invest in Aptera, I got an interesting comment from @BillSmith5960. I'll use AI to read what he wrote in part.
Instead of covering the same exact talking points the company has repeated ad nauseum, I have a suggestion. Why not treat this how we work in the real world? Let's look at the two founders that hold total control of this business. Make a video of their past and let's see how successful they were. Maybe where those businesses are today. This is like when you send out a resume. One key section is your past experience. Why can't we do this for Chris and Steve?
I thought that was a great idea. So, here goes. Hi, my name is Bill, and welcome to Chasing Aptera, where I chronicle the trials, tribulations, and presumably joys of acquiring, transporting, insuring, and living with this unique solar electric vehicle. Let's start with Steve Fambro. Fambro developed a fascination with engineering when he was in the Army, as he explained on the Dealmakers podcast hosted by Alejandro Cremades.
Well, when I went to electronic school in the Army, calibration and test equipment repair, calibration school. And at the time, it was a very advanced school. It was a 9-month school, which is long for the Army. Most of the schools are in weeks or months. And we learned how to repair electronic equipment down to the component level. Well, and I loved it, by the way. I loved that job. But in the short time I was there, I saw the equipment being replaced by small circuit cards, and there was no repair. You'd simply plug them in to a fixture, and a red light or green light would turn on. It would tell you to throw the card away. And I saw the whole infrastructure of my industry and my schooling basically going away, being made, obsolete, right before my very eyes. And so I just said, I should be on the design side of this stuff rather than the user operator side of this stuff if I want to have any hope of future growth and future opportunity. And so that kind of steered me into electronics as an industry. And then once I got settled back in the U.S., that's when I pulled the trigger, so to speak, to go to university. And I went to University of Utah. Spent 5 years there, full time, even during the summers, to finish my program, Bachelor of Science, Electrical Engineering, 2001.
After graduation, Fambro joined a San Diego-based company called Illumina, designing sophisticated robots used for DNA research. It was while commuting to work that Fambro started thinking about vehicle aerodynamics, as he explained it to Guy Raz on the podcast How I Built This.
I was doing what everybody does in San Diego that works south. You're sitting on the highway, a freeway, driving 10 to 15 miles an hour in stop-and-go traffic. And I was I was driving a Ford F-150 pickup truck. I was one of those people. I'm like,
I think it's the best-selling car in the U.S.
It is. It's amazing how that is, but it's like I used the bed of it twice before I sold it. But so I'm thinking to myself, I was also a student pilot at the time, so I had an understanding of aerodynamics, and I was just thinking about aerodynamics and planes and looking up at the planes and saying, the planes are flying by, I'm staying still. And then look at these vehicles, they're all boxy, even my own, it's just this big boxy thing. And so I started doing little things like I would fold my mirrors back, or let down my tailgate and try and see on a long trip if I could get more gas mileage. And then, I just did some reading and I said, wait a minute, these cars, like they're 60% of the energy is just pushing the air out of the way. They're like boxes or pieces of furniture pushing air out of the way. Yeah. They're not made for aerodynamics.
This led Fambro to researching and tinkering in his garage and ultimately deciding to sell his Illumina stock and around 2006 start the company that would eventually be known as Aptera. Along the way, Fambro met Chris Anthony, and they became good friends. Turns out they had a lot in common and found their strengths complemented each other. As Anthony put it,
my evolution was an odd one, but I actually started in the marine world making boats, and had come up with a very unique composite process called resin infusion that makes composite parts very lightweight but very strong, 7 times stronger than steel. With my interest in composites, I met a gentleman named Steve Fambro down here in San Diego who also had an interest in composites, and he had a design for a super aerodynamic vehicle that used very little energy, and we got together, and that really started my passion for electric vehicles as I stand today.
Anthony studied environmental engineering at Northern Arizona University and later earned a Bachelor of Science in Finance from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. In 2002, he founded Epic Boats, built on a foundation of fluid mechanics knowledge and a vision for innovative boat design. The company was recognized in the sports boat industry, particularly for its advanced work with resin infusion composites. The company we know today as Aptera was originally called Accelerated Composites. It was later changed to Aptera, a name derived from the Greek for wingless flight. Chris Anthony, still at Epic Boats, joined the company bringing his practical experience in composites and his business experience. Early prototypes such as the TYP-1 showed impressive efficiency, reportedly achieving over 300 miles per gallon equivalent. The groundbreaking performance, coupled with a futuristic design, garnered significant media attention and attracted thousands of pre-orders. The promise of Aptera drew investments from notable entities including Google, Idealab, S&J Petroleum, and NRG Energy. Unfortunately, the company experienced a number of challenges getting to production, and its backers felt it would be a good idea to bring someone on board with experience in the automotive industry. In 2008, Paul Wilbur was hired as CEO, replacing Fambro in that role. Wilbur had more than 27 years' experience in significant roles at Ford and Chrysler. Though Fambro transitioned to Chief Technical Officer, he and Anthony effectively lost control over the company's strategic direction. Fambro left in 2009, and Anthony returned his focus to Epic Boats. In 2009, while at Epic Boats, Anthony founded a new company called Flux Power. As CEO, president, and chairman, the company carved a niche developing and manufacturing advanced lithium battery technology, primarily targeting industrial applications. Anthony successfully raised $100 million through a combination of private equity, direct public offering, and grant funding. He also took the company public, giving him first-hand experience in navigating the complexities of public markets, including investor relations, regulatory compliance, and the financial reporting required for a publicly traded company. In the meantime, Aptera was starting to unravel. The new leadership deemed aspects of the original design were impractical for the consumer market, but the redesigns ended up compromising the structural rigidity of the composite shell and led to significant production delays. The changes also created a disconnect with the expectations of the early depositors who were drawn to the initial, more radical design. The delays created by the redesigns also intensified financial pressures by postponing anticipated revenue streams. One of the important revenue streams the company was relying on was from the Department of Energy's Advanced Technology Vehicles Manufacturing Program, or ATVM. An initial application for $184 million was rejected in December 2008, partly because the three-wheeled vehicle did not meet the program's definition of a car, which required 4 wheels. After successfully lobbying for a change in the regulations, Aptera reapplied. The Department of Energy eventually issued a conditional commitment letter for $150 million, but this was contingent upon Aptera raising $80 million in private matching funds. In a strategic pivot aimed at improving its chances for DOE funding, the company shifted its development focus to a more conventional 4-wheeled, 4-door sedan concept dubbed the 4E. However, when the DOE declined a loan application for a different company with a similar composite body, Aptera investors reportedly lost confidence and withdrew further financial support. The original Aptera ceased operations in December of 2011, sold its assets and intellectual property to a Chinese automaker, and started the process of returning customer deposits. Having lost control of the company he started, Steve Fambro left Aptera 2 years before its demise. In 2009, he started a company called Fambro Farms. He took his passion for efficiency and applied it to food production by developing a super efficient pesticide and herbicide-free indoor vertical farming system designed entirely from the ground up. Fambro successfully secured $8 million in funding and over a 2-year period spearheaded the development of a proprietary vertical farming platform. Fambro Farms found success in the competitive Southern California market, supplying its produce to major grocery retailers like Whole Foods Market and Barron's Market, as well as to various restaurants. By 2014, Fambro was reportedly scouting expansion sites outside of California, including potential locations in the Bronx, New York. Fambro was also involved in building the first USDA organic vertical farm in the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. But in the end, Fambro Farms couldn't keep up with the competition, as Fambro pointed out in his interview on Dealmakers.
We had a fantastic product that people loved, but I think the economics of scaling in this country just didn't work out. The competition that you face from really high quality produce that's grown in greenhouses in Mexico and other places is really hard to compete against.
From around 2017 to 2020, Steve Fambro also had a period of involvement with Flux Power, the company Chris Anthony started. Sources identify his role at Flux Power, at least for a time, as director of production, particularly in the context of a facility expansion. Also around this time, Fambro served as a venture partner and COO at Ocean Holding, an investment and development company focused on advancing the use of clean and renewable energy. According to his 2019 LinkedIn profile, Fambro's responsibilities at Ocean Holding included focusing on clean energy and ag tech deals internationally with projects in Morocco, Armenia, Sri Lanka, and the UAE. This work involved collaborating with other investors, ambassadors, and negotiating with senior government officials. Currently, according to LinkedIn, the company has between 11 and 50 employees and has developed and executed 500 megawatts plus of solar farms globally, all connected to the electrical grid. They've backed initiatives in organic food production, sustainable agriculture, and irrigation technology, and interestingly, they are also active in the exploration and extraction of minerals, plus excavation, refinery, and trading of oil products through strategic partnerships. In 2013, Chris Anthony left Flux Power to spend more time in his role as CEO of Epic Boats, though he stayed on Flux Power's board of directors in an advisory capacity. Flux Power is still in business today, developing new products, including AI-based battery management software, and generating revenue, though its stock performance has reflected the same volatility as other emerging technology sectors. In 2014, Anthony still managed to start a new company called Endless Energy, focused on sulfur graphene battery technology. He served as founder and head of business development for the company from September 2014 to July 2017. As of May 2025, Endless Energy was still listed as a funded company. As far as Epic Boats goes, the advanced manufacturing processes and material that made their boats lightweight and innovative also made them more expensive and time-consuming to build compared to competitors. In the 2000s, the economic downturn of the times, which hit the recreational boating industry hard, led to the closure of several small builders, including Epic Boats, which closed its doors in 2019 after a run of 17 years. In 2019, Chris Anthony and Steve Fambro reacquired the Aptera intellectual property and spearheaded the relaunch of Aptera Motors Corporation. What Fambro and Anthony learned from the first version of Aptera Motors was not to overly rely on a single loan like the ATVM loan, nor on traditional venture capital. Instead, they embraced equity crowdfunding, building a strong community of supporters and small investors. They learned the importance of approaching production efficiently, partnering with design experts like Monroe & Associates and composite component specialists like CPC Group of Italy. And the founders learned the importance of maintaining control over the company's strategic direction by not putting themselves in a position where their vision could be easily overridden by external investors or new management. Chris Anthony brings his experiences with Flux Power and Epic Boats, informing key aspects of Aptera's technology, manufacturing strategy, and business planning. Steve Fambro's vision, entrepreneurial experience, and early engineering career have shaped Aptera's emphasis on systems engineering, efficiency, and sustainable design. That brings us to today, where the company just revealed its fully functional validation vehicle called Artemis, which they are preparing to take on a road trip, showing off the vehicle at events all across the country. So, what can we conclude from all this? Well, it's not easy being an entrepreneur. According to the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, about 20% of new businesses fail within the first year, and approximately 50% fail within 5 years. After 10 years, around 65 to 70% of businesses have failed. Here are some notable examples. Before founding Microsoft, Bill Gates launched a company called Trafodata, which aimed to process and analyze roadway traffic data. The business failed to gain traction and was ultimately a flop. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, faced several setbacks early in his career. Products like the Apple III and Apple Lisa failed in the market, costing Apple millions. Jobs was even ousted from his own company in the mid-1980s, returning in 1997 to run the company once again. Before Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Harlan Sanders tried and failed at several ventures, including a gas lamp manufacturing firm. He even faced numerous rejections for his fried chicken recipe before finally finding success at the age of 62. And before inventing the highly successful GoPro camera, Nick Woodman started a company called Funbug, a gaming and marketing platform. The venture failed, burning through millions in investor funds. What these ultimately successful entrepreneurs had in common was perseverance and the good sense to learn from their past experiences. I believe the same holds true for Steve Fambro and Chris Anthony, as they've worked through their entrepreneurial journeys to bring us the super efficient Aptera vehicle, which hopefully will be successful as well, despite these trying times for EVs. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please subscribe and share with others who might be interested. And I hope you'll join me for future episodes of Chasing Aptera.